Hello, welcome. So for today's video, you're going to learn about the 5 major accounts. So at the end of this video, you can define the different 5 major accounts and you can distinguish the type of account depending on its classification in the 5 major accounts. So on this video, you will hear about the word debit and the word credit. So the word debit and credit is just like your parents' credit cards. So, if your mom or your parent have debit cards, then it simply means that it is the type of card where they have an account or money as savings or as payroll account. While if they have credit card, then these are the accounts, that type of card or account where it can make a transaction or a loan transaction. So, while in the business, parang ganun din ang role niya. Pag sinabi nating debit, si business ay may nakuha at napakinabangan or naipon. While kapag sinabi nating credit, yan ay it's either utang or ginastos ni business para sa kanyang transaction. So, if the account is pupunta sa business, so debit ang tawag natin doon. Pero kapag palabas siya ng business, then ang tawag sa kanya is credit. Okay. Now, let us start with the first account. So, originally, we have these 3 accounts. So, we have assets, liabilities, and equity. So, these are the 3 major accounts that we have. So, first is asset. So, assets are the resources owned and controlled by the firm, which means the owner of the business or the business itself could only enjoy the benefit of that particular account or particular transaction, and they can prevent others from enjoying that benefit, then it is considered asset. So, pag sinabi nating asset, control nila yung enjoyment ng particular na bagay na yon or skill ng tao. So, kaya sinasabi nating asset siya. Pangalawa, we have liabilities. So, liabilities are obligations of the firm arising from past events, which means that these are the transaction of the business wherein they could not settle it at the moment. So, that's why they make the transaction as a loan. So, ginagawa nilang utang si transaction, doon nag-a-arise si liability. Third is the owner's equity. So, the owner's equity is the claims in the business. So, makuha natin lagi si owner's equity kapag sinubtract natin si liabilities from the asset. And the residual value will be the owner's equity. So, ito yung pinakapakinabang ni business. So, pag sinabi natin owner's equity, yan yung mismong benefit nung owner. Now, under owner's equity, dito manggagaling yung pang-apat na major account. So, si income. So, si income is under owner's equity. Pero, naging major account na rin siya kasi sa business, ito yung palaging nag-a-appear. So, di ba? Pag nagtayo tayo ng business, kumikita tayo. So, doon manggagaling si income. So, that is the economic benefit during the accounting period. So, kasama dyan si revenue at si gains. While, ang panglima naman natin, si expenses. So, part lang din siya ng owner's equity. So, lagi siya nag-a-appear kasi si expenses ay ang mga transaction ni business na nagsusustain sa cycle ni business. Pero, expenses are decreases in economic benefits during the accounting period. But, syempre, si expenses ay parang necessities para tayo ay magkaroon ng income. That's why these are the 5 major accounts. So we have assets, liabilities, owner's equity, income, and expenses. And again, income and expenses is under owner's equity. So let us determine the normal balance of the 5 major elements. So we have asset, withdrawal, and expenses. Oh, by the way, withdrawal is not a major account, but since withdrawal is the type of transaction na nagbe-benefit kay owner, so under pa rin siya ng capital or ng owner or ng owner's equity or ng equity. Nag-a-appear din siya kasi ito yung kinukuha naman the business owner from the business. Kaya sisama natin siya sa accounting element na i-discuss natin. So, kapag nakita niyo yung asset, withdrawal, tsaka expenses, ang normal balances nila is debit. Ibig sabihin, sila yung nagiging benefit ng business. So, mga transaction na nakukuha ni business. Okay? While liabilities, capital, owner's equity, or equity, and income have a normal balance of credit. So, ibig sabihin, sila yung nagiging gastos ni business. So, to increase these accounts, kailangan ang transaction would fall under their normal balance. So, pag asset, para madagdagan mo siya, kailangan si transaction ay debit. Si withdrawal, para mag-increase, ang kailangan transaction is debit. Same with expenses. While the other 3, liabilities, capital, and income, para madagdagan siya, si transaction dapat na on the credit side of the equation. And then, syempre, to decrease these accounts, yung opposite ng normal balance nila. So, to decrease assets, withdrawal, and expense, kailangan si transaction will fall under credit. So, ito yung mga magbabawas sa mga assets, withdrawal, and expense. While sa liabilities, capital, and income, to decrease these accounts, kailangan naman nasa debit yung transaction. So, ganun palagi. Every time that you have transaction, nagkakaroon ng debit and credit. At kung saan mo siya ilalagay na position will depend on the transaction. So, let's learn more about asset. So, assets, again, are the resources owned and controlled by the firm. So, meron tayong dalawang klase. We have the current assets and non-current assets. So, pag sinabi natin current assets, these are assets that can be realized 1 year after year-end date. So, sa loob ng isang taon, kinaklasify natin ang asset as current assets if kaya siyang kolektahin, ibenta, or gamitin sa loob ng isang taon. While kapag non-current asset, ito naman yung assets that cannot be realized 1 year after the year-end date. So, hindi mo siya kayang kolektahin, hindi mo siya kayang ibenta, at hindi mo siya kayang ubusin sa loob ng isang taon. So, out of this asset, we have what we call the tangible and intangible asset. So, when we say tangible asset, these are assets na nahawakan natin. While yung intangible assets, yun yung mga asset naman na hindi natin pwedeng hawakan, kagaya ng trademarks. So, iba kagaya ng trademarks na ipagkakait silang ipagamit sa iba kasi nga, yun yung, kumbaga, doon nakilala yung isang business. So, hindi siya physically existent, hindi siya nag-exist physically, pero asset pa rin siya. So, we have here the examples of current assets. We have cash, So cash is the medium of exchange in the business transactions. We have accounts receivable and notes receivable. So these are the amounts that is owned or due from customers or clients. So the difference is accounts receivable if there's only a verbal agreement, while notes receivable is something to receive from customers supported with a promissory note. We also have inventories for merchandising business. So these are assets held for resale naman. We also have supplies. So these are items purchased by the business which are unused as of the reporting date. We also have prepaid expenses. So these are expenses that are paid in advance. We also have accrued income. So it is the revenue earned but not yet collected. So we also have short-term investments. We also have accumulated depreciation, or the total amount of a plant asset cost that has been allocated to depreciation expense since the asset was put into service. So accumulated depreciation is the value na parang used value ng isang bagay or ng isang asset. We also have interest receivable. So the amount of interest due as the statement of financial position on notes receivable. So kapag may promissory note tapos di nabayaran, nagkakaroon siya ng interest. So nagkakaroon ng interest receivable. We also have advances to employees. So these are the salaries of employees that is paid in advance. We also have prepaid insurance and prepaid rent, or the advance payments in insurance and rent. So for non-current assets, we have long-term investment naman. So ibig sabihin, these are investment for more than 1 year. We also have intangible assets, which is non-existent na hindi mo agad-agad maibibenta, magkagamit within 1 year. Kasama sa non-current asset is the property, plant, and equipment. So these are assets na kagaya ng land, building, equipment, furnitures and fixtures, and accumulated depreciation. So, moving on to liabilities, or the debt and obligation of the company to another entity. So we also have current and non-current liabilities. So utang na kailangan bayaran within 1 year is current liabilities. Utang na hindi mababayaran within 1 year or lagpas ng 1 year is non-current liabilities. So ang mga example ng current liabilities are accounts payable and notes payable. So pag sinabi natin accounts payable, ikaw naman yung may utang sa isang business or sa mga suppliers with verbal agreement only, nababayaran mo sila. Or kapag hindi stated kung nabayaran siya ng cash. We also have notes payable kapag ikaw naman ang pumirma sa promissory note ng utang. We also have accrued expenses. So these are expenses that are incurred but not yet paid. So they have existed pero hindi mo pa nababayaran. We also have deferred or unearned income. So these are cash collected in advance pero yung service hindi mo pa napaprovide. So nakagawa ka na nakakuha ka na ng bayad. So parang accrued income. So pero ang utang mo sa kanya is the service. We also have interest payable and tax payable. For non-current liabilities, we have long-term notes payable. So, pang matagalang utang ni business for more than 1 year. We also have installment contracts payable. So, these are contracts to be paid in installment. We also have mortgage payable. So, it is a debt due after 1 year. And something that you have a pledge as security. So, halimbawa, parang sangla. So, sa owner's equity naman, moving on, we have the capital. So, this are the cash and other assets that you have invested for the business. We also have drawing. So these are account debited for assets or withdrawn by the owner for personal use from the business. So under pa rin ng owner's equity si income, we have the income for the increase in equity na pwede nating tawaging service revenue, service income for service businesses, at sales naman ang gagamitin kapag merchandising and manufacturing business. So we also have expenses. So they are the decrease in equity. So ang example ng expenses lang na bibigay natin is salaries expense, interest expense, and utilities expense. Take note that there are expenses that is considered as asset if it's paid in advance. So we call it prepaid expenses. So for some list of accounts na hindi ko nabanggit is I will be giving you a chart of account. So a chart of account is a listing of the accounts used by the companies in their financial records. So it will also guide you and help you to identify where the money is coming from and where the money will go. So this is the foundation of the financial statements. So here are the example. Here is an example of a chart of account. So we have asset, and we also have this description. We have for liabilities and for capital. So if you have difficulties for this discussion, you kindly list down all your questions and we will answer it on the MS Teams meeting discussion. So for the chart of accounts that we will be using for 2 years, I will be sending it to you on the Genio package.